Good evening and welcome to Austin Prep Presents. I'm Jen Hodgson, the Director of Alumni Relations and Giving here at Austin Prep. Tonight, I'm excited to be joined by the Sherr brothers with Alex, class of 2003, and Dan, class of 2005, and their math teacher and faculty member, Doreen Fuller. Welcome everybody for being part of this program. And so the program this evening is about the basics of financial planning, and we're going to focus on how to get started with personal financial planning, including goal setting, how to gather your financial information, and creating a path towards your financial goals. Before we get started with the program, I want to invite Alex and Dan and Doreen to share just a little bit about themselves, a little bit about their background and their experience. So how about we start with you, Alex?
Hello, I'm Alexander Sherr. I graduated in 2003 from Austin Prep. Thereafter, I attended the Massachusetts Maritime Academy. And after that, I went down to Port Elizabeth, New Jersey, and worked for Maersk APM Terminals, which is owned by Maersk. I don't know if you've heard of that. I worked in operations management on container ships in the port for about a little over 6 years. And then thereafter I came home and I worked with my brother and my dad at Sherr Financial for maybe a little over 7 years now. I'm married. I live in Newbury. I've got 4 kids, all under the age of 5, and it's going
God bless
great.
You.
Yes, thank you. And so I love what I do. I love working with my brother and my dad, helping families in their financial future.
Excellent. And Dan, how about you?
So I graduated Austin Prep in 2005. And from there, I went to the University of Maine for a short stay there. I was there for 2 years. And then I ended up transferring and I graduated from Merrimack College. I left Merrimack College really wanting to get involved in any sort of sales I could do. And at the end of the day, wound up in insurance sales, and I actually hated it. It was one of the worst experiences I ever had. And I was going to leave the business altogether. I actually got a job offer at Oracle. I was going to go work at Oracle, and I ultimately decided to stick with this business. However, a different direction, more focused on holistic financial planning, not focused strictly on insurance. I wound up with my father's shop, Sherr Financial Associates. And I've been here for about 11 years, I think I've been here. And I focus a lot of my time on the corporate retirement planning side, building out 401k plans, designing them, implementing them, and then maintaining them with the companies that we work with. And I work with my brother and dad every day. I love it. It's a great experience, and it's a really rewarding industry, a really rewarding career path that I'm fortunate to be involved in.
Excellent. Thank you. And Doreen, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, I had these 2 handsome gentlemen going through school. I have to admit, they're probably not my #1 math students, but they turned out fabulously. So we did something right. I have been at Austin Prep for 24 years. It seems like 5 years, but time flies. I had 2 boys come through. They graduated in 09 and 13. And I've been a part of Austin for so long that it's my family. And they're succeeding as well. And I'm looking towards the end now, retirement coming through. So I might have to pick up the Sherr brothers and
We can all learn a little something tonight, right?
My money, yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to do just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. I want to invite all of our guests to please use the Q&A feature. If you have any questions throughout the program and presentation, we're going to do our best to get to all of those questions at the end of the program. But right now, I am going to turn things over to Dan and to Alex for the presentation. So take it away, boys.
All right, very good. Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you very much for allowing us to do this. It's pretty cool that we get to come back to Austin Prep. Well, although it's through Zoom, not in person, but it's still pretty cool that we get to present to the Austin Prep community and have Miss Fuller as the moderator. As she mentioned, I think I had you maybe 2 times as a math teacher. I think it was AP math. Is that right for me? Was it?
Austin Prep math? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Basic course.
I don't like saying this, but that's what I always thought AP stood for. But so anyways, we'll get into the presentation. Again, I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their night to listen. It means a lot to us, and we'll get started. So tonight we're going to touch on who Sherr Financial is. SFA stands for Sherr Financial Associates. And then we'll touch the critical steps, or at least what we think the critical steps of financial planning are in building a financial plan. And then we at our office, when we sit down with people, we try to help them visualize what an actual financial plan might look like. In our industry, we feel like everything gets made very, confusing, convoluted, and it's not easy to understand. There's a lot of jargon. So what we try to do is boil it down and make it easy to understand. We do that through our bucket approach. And, obviously everybody's financial plan will look slightly different, whether it be through certain product implementation or, certain, retirement plans that they might have access to where other people might not, but they're all built on the same chassis. And we think that we illustrate that well with the bucket approach. And then we'll open it up to questions. And Jennifer, or Doreen, if any questions flow in that are maybe pertinent to what I'm talking about and you think it makes sense to jump in, you're obviously welcome to throw the question out while I'm on the topic. So about Sherr Financial, those are the 3 advisors that work at Sherr Financial. My dad, Bob, founded the firm back in 1979. And when he started out, he, as did I, he started out in the insurance industry. His focus was really around insurance, and it ultimately ended up morphing into a full financial planning operation where money management was involved. And he started out with the goal of being truly independent, being 100% independent of any large organization. And I think it was one of the best things that he did. We are not beholden to a Fidelity, Morgan Stanley, a Merrill Lynch, any large UBS, any large bank or insurance company. We are strictly working for our clients, and that is it. So we're agnostic to what is used as long as it makes sense in the plan or in the mutual fund model that we're building out at the time, which is extremely important to the end user or the client. And when you look at Sherr Financial from a 30,000-foot view, we're split in 2 areas. We have an individual financial planning operation where my brother and my dad spend basically all their time in that realm. We work with families and individuals in asset accumulation, driving towards particular goals that they might lay out in meetings with us, all the way to the flip side or the other side, which is at income distribution and retirement. And we do that through a multitude of different tactics and so forth, and we can get into some of those things. And then we have the corporate retirement planning side, where I spend the majority of my day. We work with about 60 different companies, from publicly traded down to companies that might have 1 or 2 employees, and they're trying to build out a benefit package, and we're here to help them do that. More hyper focused on the 401k, defined benefit, and that sort of stuff. But we also get involved on smaller size companies with the insurance benefit programs as well. Sherr Financial manages right now just under $300 million in assets, and we have about 500 households on the individual side that we work on. And we've partnered, driving back to the point that we're independent, we partner with a broker dealer. And in fact, in this case, it's the largest privately held independent broker dealer in the country, Commonwealth Financial Network. They actually rebranded to just Commonwealth now. But they serve people like us. They act as our back office. They provide us technology. They provide us oversight. They provide us research. We have a massive research team that we can leverage, CFAs, CFPs, estate planning attorneys, that we can leverage, and we pay them to act as essentially, like I said, our back office. And it's a really good relationship, and they're outstanding. And then the other name that you see there is National Financial Services. We at Sherr Financial do not custody any of the money that our clients give us. That means we don't have a general account. If you invest in IRA at Sherr Financial, we're not holding that at an Eastern bank account down the street and just managing it that way. We give that money to National Financial Services. They're actually a wholly owned subsidiary of Fidelity, and they focus strictly on brokerage business, meaning working with people like Sherr Financial to custody the assets. They create all of our statements, they create all the tracking that we use and all that kind of stuff. Those are the two organizations that we've partnered with to provide a better feel to our clients. I'm not going to go through the bios, but that's my dad, Bob. There's my brother, and there I am. I don't have glasses on tonight, so if I misread something, that's why. So when you partner as an individual or a client, when you partner with a financial planner, like I said at the beginning, I think that one of the most important, if not the most important thing, is that they are truly independent and agnostic to what they're implementing in your plan. We are also a fee-based fiduciary asset manager, so we're not making commissions on anything that we're implementing or providing to our clients. So at Sherr Financial, our goal is not only to be independent and obviously fee-based, but also to be as low cost as we possibly can. And by trying to be low cost, we've been able to create infrastructure at our office to build out mutual fund models and portfolios in-house and trade those models in-house. Sometimes when you partner with financial planners, they will sub all that work out. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that removes the financial planner from that process. And it also adds another layer of fees to the overall investment. So our goal, like I said, is to try to be as low cost as we can for our clients, and then also as tax efficient as possible. And all of these plans, when we're sitting down with individuals, they're all tailored to that person. Like I said, they're built on the same chassis, but product implementation looks very different depending on what stage of life you're in, what products you have access to through your workplace, and also what goals you're trying to achieve. So we're building these out tailored to the individual, and we're doing all of the work in-house at our office. We're not subbing any of that model management out, which is really important, and at the end of the day, makes us very cost effective. So the three critical steps, like I had mentioned at the beginning, you plan, invest, and then review. And we're going to jump into the plan section, which is the first and foremost. One of the questions we get, I feel like I get it every single day when we're talking to people and meeting with families: how much money do I need to retire? And it's a good question. At the end of the day, no one really knows. I mean, I'm not going to be able to sit there and tell you, you need to take inventory on what you think you need to live. If you say I need 100% income replacement, well, then we need to build a plan that's going to get you to that point. And it might take tweaking, like saving more in your 401k plan or saving more in a non-qualified brokerage account. But at the end of the day, the average person should try to shoot for 75 to 85% income replacement in retirement. And the thought process behind that, if you actually think about pensions, we don't really have those much anymore, but if you think about them, you get the 80% of your best 3 years. And there was some science behind that. If the thought process is your tax bracket's going to maybe be reduced, your obligations are going to go down, the amount of money you're going to need to live on is going to go down. So, an 80% income replacement should be able to get you through. So 75 to 85% is typically what you see. But if, like I said, you say you need 100% income replacement, well, we can get to work and trying to help you achieve that. And usually it's done through saving more in certain areas that might benefit you. So where is that money going to come from? And the average person, and again, all of the stuff that I'm talking about is in general. You might be on the other side of this computer saying, well, that's not me. I don't have any of that stuff, or, I have all my money. I'm going to live off my Social Security. Well, okay. But in general, people are going to have two streams of income in retirement. You're going to have guaranteed income, and you're going to have money that's generated from the pool of assets that you work so hard to save. So the guaranteed income typically will come from three areas. The first is Social Security, any pensions that you might have, and then if you purchased an annuity at some point along the way, all of those things are going to provide you a stream of income regardless of what market environments provide. And usually from just the Social Security piece, you're looking at about 33% of that income need is going to be created from Social Security. Now, that will vary obviously, individual to individual, but about 33%. The rest is coming from you. You're going to get that through your 401k plans or 403b plans if you're, a teacher or a nurse or work for a nonprofit. Your brokerage accounts, meaning non-retirement, non-qualified savings that you've maybe contributed to throughout your, working life, or a tin cup in the backyard. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're saving money, as long as you have a place to tap into that money when you need it, you're going to be happy. And if there are any young people, and I have a slide at the end that I'm going to go over about starting early, but if there are any young people that are on this call, you should be participating in your 401k plans. You should be saving outside of your 401k plan if you have the ability, and you should be doing everything in your power to try to beat back debt. If you can successfully do those things, you're going to be in a really good position. And there are ways that people like us can help you do that more efficiently. So building a plan at the end of the day is obviously, that's the reason why you come and sit down with people like us. It's probably the most important piece of the puzzle. And I'm not going to sit here and talk too much about this slide, because on the next slide, we go over our bucket approach. And like I had mentioned, I think this does a really good job laying out what a financial plan actually looks like. So for all individuals, you're going to have a foundation to the financial plan. That's going to be built through risk mitigation. I don't care how well off you are, or if you say to yourself, well, I'm not well off, I don't need any of that stuff. Everybody needs basically everything in this bottom bucket here, the bottom foundation. Everyone should be meeting with an estate planning attorney and discussing how best to protect your loved ones or even your assets. If you don't have a will and trust in place, you're probably going to, your loved ones left behind are probably going to be dealing with probate. Insurances, a lot of those are garnered through the employer that you work for. You can get your health insurance, you can get some life insurance, disability insurance, ancillary products like critical illness and accident, home. Sometimes, depending on how large the employer is, sometimes you can get your homeowners and car insurance through your employer at very low rates. But everybody should have insurances in place. God forbid something was to happen and those products needed to kick in and fend off whatever that liability was. And that is the foundation of the plan. And then obviously trying to align yourself with a CPA, a financial planner, and a really good estate planning attorney. You'll be in a very good position, and you'll have a very solid foundation to build up on. But until you do those things, it's very difficult to have a sound, investment program. So the next most important piece to this is bucket one, the cash account, really better known as the emergency account. And you might see in articles or books that you might look at around financial planning that you should have 3 to 6 months of your non-discretionary living expenses saved in cash. Well, we tell people you should really have 6 to 9 months. We think that that's a more appropriate figure. if you say, well, I'm comfortable with 3 months, then okay, that's fine. As long as you're comfortable with that. We believe, though, that 6 to 9 months puts you in a better position. And if you are entering retirement or in retirement, it's more like 12 to 24 months. In the very simple reason why we increase that while in retirement is because, like I had mentioned on that last slide, 67% of your income is coming from the pool of money that you have invested in the stock market. And if the market drops tremendously, using COVID as an example, and the market tanked 36%, and you're taking a drawdown, well, the last thing you want to do is stress a portfolio that's already extremely stressed due to market volatility. So what we would do in that situation is possibly turn off the drawdown from that portfolio and live off the cash for a couple months until the market can recover. So in retirement, having more cash is important. And I will say this, right now, I feel like no matter what channel you turn on the weather channel, you start hearing about inflation. So inflation's a thing, it comes around. Who knows if it's transient or if it's going to be sticking around. But there are some things that aren't necessarily meant to be protected from inflation. And an emergency fund is one of those things. It does you no good to take that money and put it into gold or put it into, the stock market, and then, have the market tank and you have an emergency and now you're in a bind. So while it might not be the best, it might not look great getting no interest on your money in the bank account, it's exceedingly important to make sure that you have that money there. In fact, none of this really works bucket 2 and 3 unless you have that stuff in place. The second bucket is your investment accounts. Those are non-qualified, and in our business, non-qualified simply means non-retirement money that is not tax favored. That money can be invested. It has a longer term time horizon, meaning you're not going to use it in the next year or 2 years. So you can withstand some volatility with that money or expose it to some sort of risk. And that money can be invested according to your risk tolerance and time horizon. That money is liquid. It is not like retirement money where if you wanted to access that money, you'd be penalized. This money, there is no penalty. You just pay either ordinary income, depending on how long the money's been invested and what type of gain it is, or long-term capital gains. But this money is there to, help you with goals that are further down the line. Maybe it's a second home. Maybe it's, whatever it is, this money is there to help, achieve that particular goal. And then the third is your retirement account. Many people have access to corporate retirement accounts at their companies or, at their schools or wherever they're working. And what I would say to any teachers out there, any, union workers out there, anyone who gets a pension and says, I'm just going to live on my pension. I get a pension. I don't need to save in my deferred comp, or I don't need to save in my 403B. You absolutely should be saving in your 403B or your deferred compensation plan. We work with people, teachers, and public servants that decided, I'm just going to live on my pension. And we work with teachers and public servants that said, I'm going to live on my pension, but I'm also going to save as much as I can in my 401k or my retirement account. And those are the people that wind up, they could make more money in retirement than they were making when they were working. So, no matter what your situation is, if you have that outlet, you should be attacking that. And now it comes down to how much should I be saving percentage wise. If we tell people, if you can start at 10%, that's great. 15% is even better. 15% is really where you want to be. If you can get to that point, 15% of your income, and then try to max the plan out eventually at some point, whatever the IRS maximum is, and those are set by the government. But if you can successfully fill up these buckets, build that foundation out really solid, make sure you're covered from a risk mitigation perspective, and then build out these 3 buckets, you are in a really good position. There is not much that you wouldn't be able to handle financially. The one piece that's missing from this that we probably should add in here at some point is you really want to focus on trying to beat back debt aggressively. Debt is really detrimental to a financial plan. And if you are entering retirement, the goal, mission accomplished, is to have a bunch of money saved up and be debt free. That's mission accomplished if you can do that. So, you know, again, this is just really the goal behind this slide is to illustrate what a financial plan, looks like, or what the chassis of a financial plan looks like. And again, everyone's plan will look different internally, but the structure is always very, very similar, if not exactly like this. All right, so the next piece is invest. So you create your plan. This is what we're going to do. Now, what do we do with the money that I'm putting into this plan? And at Sherr Financial, we can speak to how we invest money. Everyone that you meet might have a different investment philosophy, but we have a very specific investment philosophy at our office. And one of the things that we talk about is it's not our job to gamble with your money. We don't forecast what markets are going to do, because at the end of the day, in our opinion, nobody knows what's going to happen with the stock market tomorrow. No one knows what's going to happen, in the next couple of days, weeks, months, or years. So what we believe the best approach is to buy the broad market. Markets are efficient, and then tilt towards particular factors that have led to outperformance over long periods of time. Those particular factors are small companies over large companies, the value style of management over the growth style of management, and then companies that have higher profit margins tend to stay profitable over longer periods of time. And while I know this might be unbelievable to many of you on the call, we did not come up with that on our own. We subscribe to certain Nobel Prize winning economists and a particular mutual fund company that we work very closely with, and we think that it puts clients, and our clients in particular, in a really good position for success moving forward into the future. Again, in investing, nothing is done in short windows. Everything is done over long periods of time. And there's an old saying, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. So the longer you allow yourself and your money to sit in the stock market, the better off you're going to be. And also, the reason why, and in the next couple of slides, you'll see, this kind of will be driven home, but the reason why people like my brother, my dad, and I have a job is a big reason is because we remove the emotion out of the investing process. The average retail investor wants to pull their money out the second they hear on CNBC that the market might fall by a couple of percentage points. And that's always the wrong reaction. Unless you need the money for an emergency, well, that's a different story. But if you're moving money around on emotion, you're probably doing the wrong thing. So the next couple of slides, I just really include them just to drive home the fact that emotional investing is no good. And on this slide right here, it shows how reacting can hurt performance. And if you look at the bars, really all this is talking about is if you missed the best day or the best 5 days over a given time frame. And in this particular time frame, it shows 1990 to 2018. And in that time frame, if you just left your money invested, $1,000 invested the whole time, your rate of return would have been 9.29%. And it would have turned $1,000 into $13,137. But if you so happen to turn on CNBC and they made the wrong call that morning, and Kramer was up there saying, everyone, the market's going to crash, and you pulled your money out, you listened to him, and that so happened to be the best day of that time frame, the difference is right there. Your rate of return would have been 8.87 as opposed to the 9.29. If you miss the best 5 days, the performance goes down, so on and so forth. So the point behind this slide is usually the right response to the emotional moving around of money is no, I'm going to leave it there. I know I have a plan. I know that let's stick with the plan, let the plan work, and forge ahead. And then you see markets move around, they go crazy, and COVID again is I think is a great example, and I like using it because anytime there's a crisis, you're going to say it's never been like this before. Well, of course, it's never been like this before. There's never been, 2 COVIDs. There's never been 2, September 11th. But if you look at the stock market's reaction after crises, it's very resilient. It's extremely resilient. So you have the light green bar. That's 1 year after the crisis, what the market return was. Then you have 3 years is the next, the darker color, and then the darkest color is 5 years. But if you were somebody who pulled your money out, say in March during COVID, well, you missed out on all of that market movement going up, and it's very difficult to say when I'm going to get back in. I'm going to get out because it's no good. I'm going to sell, low or sell at the wrong time, and then you never know when to get back in. And then this shows this last slide here. This is the last slide of the investing or the market movement. But this just shows how markets move. And one thing that I think this slide really drives home is they typically move upward, okay, or they typically settle upward. This is from 1979 to 2019, okay, and this is these skinny chart. It's kind of hard looking at, but the skinny bars, they go all the way up, and then you see some in red. That's the market moving within that year. The solid graph is where the market ended that year. So you can see, like, if we go, let's say we go to 2009, the market was down, in the 20s or even the 30s. Then it went, at one point it was up way, way, way up, but it wound up and ended up, around, I don't know where it was, it ended up like 30. I can't really tell the exact number, but the point behind this slide is you got to stick with it. Sometimes it's a whipsaw, but the majority of the time we end up on the upper side of this bar graph. So emotional investing, to drive it home, is the wrong way to invest. Again, at Sherr Financial, our investment philosophy is to buy broad swaths in the market, tilt towards particular areas that lead to outperformance, be low cost, tax efficient, and stick with the plan. So the review piece, I didn't really add much, stuff to the review slide, but at the end of the day, rule of thumb, at least once a year, get together with your financial planner. And if you're doing it on your own, you should be revisiting your portfolios at least quarterly. And the reason why I say that is because if you're working with a financial planner, for example, we mentioned we manage all the models in-house at Sherr Financial. My brother, every day when he gets to the office, he gets in front of his computer and he pulls up our trading system to make sure that all of our portfolios are not drifting too far out of balance. If we have a model that is really far out of balance, for example, if it's a 60-40, 60% in stock, 40% in bonds, and it goes to a 70% in stock, 30% in bond, well, we can readjust. And we do that, automatically for our clients. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, that's something you're going to have to handle by yourself. So minimum once a year with your financial planner. If it makes you feel more comfortable, you can meet with them more. We meet with our clients as much or as little as they'd like, and then we're open to them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So that's how we operate from a review perspective. And then the last slide that I have on here, and I think that this is important for any young people that are on this call right now, or anyone that is on this call that has a young person that has a job or is, interested in investing or just starting out in the workforce. So you have Susan and Joseph. Susan started investing at age 30 and invested all the way to age 40, and then said, you know what, forget it. I'm going to use all my money. I'm going to go out and have a good time and, that's that. She put in $40,000 while she invested for those 10 years. Joe was the opposite. He said, you know what, I'm going to party from 30 to 40. And then, maybe I'll start investing. And he did. At age 40, he decided he's going to start throwing money into his 401k plan at work. He invested more than Susan did, $104,000. But at the end of the road, Susan had more money than Joe did. And it's all due to time and compound interest. So again, if you're young and you're interested in investing, or if you're young and you're just starting out in your career, take advantage of your 401k plan. One of the things that we hear all the time is, I'm not participating in my 401k because my company doesn't match. Wrong thought process. Your company's not going to be there for you in retirement. No one's going to be there for you in retirement except for yourself. You need to make sure that you're throwing money into something like a retirement vehicle to help you when you get to that point. So starting young, starting early, like wicked important. And that's all she wrote. That's the presentation. And one thing I like to say is, like, this was very broad, very general. We can get way more in detail with individuals. If there's somebody out there that something we said sparked your interest, or you don't want to type a question in or ask a question, you're welcome to reach out to us. You can go to our website. We have a contact form, an intake form on our website you can use. You can call us, you can email us, whatever you want, but we're here to help. It costs nothing to sit down with us and discuss some of your concerns, and kick the tires. It costs you nothing to do that. So, we'd be thrilled to discuss anything that you want to. That's that.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. So Doreen, I don't know if we have any questions here that we might want to throw out here to Dan and Alex. I've got a few of my own that I've put down, but I don't know if you have anything that you would like to.
Well, I just want, I don't know, well, I see the people out there, just for clarification, because there is a difference between a financial advisor and a financial planner.
Yeah. Well, so when you think of financial planner, you think of somebody who is going to be able to holistically help you actually implement something, a goal-driven plan. I want to achieve this, so how do I do that? Or I'm looking for something that's going to be able to supplement my income in retirement. What does that look like, and what is that particular product? Well, that person, a financial planner, would be able to help you. They're able to talk you through estate planning questions, maybe get know enough to be dangerous from a tax perspective, those sort of things. One thing I will tell you, though, at Sherr Financial, we surround ourselves with professionals in other industries. So, we're the professionals in the money management and the, product placement and actually building out the chassis of the plan. When it comes to tax planning and estate planning, we're very clear with people. That is not what we do. However, we're able to bring people in that are experts in those particular fields.
And it looks like we do have a question here. Do you have any advice for self-employed people or contract workers?
Yes. So that's a pretty broad question, but I can tell you right now from a retirement perspective, a self-employed person, you have, a lot of people aren't really sure where to start from a retirement planning perspective with that stuff. You don't have a 401k plan necessarily. Sometimes in a regular old IRA isn't cutting it. You can only do 6,000 if you're under age 50. So a SEP IRA might make sense. SEP, which stands for Simplified Employee Pension Plan, might make sense for an individual who is self-employed. You can save 20% of your self-employment income, up to a maximum of $57,000 a year in a vehicle like that. So that from a retirement perspective, a SEP IRA might make sense. And then one thing I would also say to you is, since you're not getting insurance products provided to you from an employer or a larger employer, I think it's like one of the most important things you do is to take an assessment on where you might have holes in your risk mitigation and sit down with someone who can help close those holes. Like, you might need disability insurance. I can actually, if you're a self-employed person, you probably most definitely need disability insurance. Depending on what your situation is with your family and everything, life insurance probably makes sense. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can focus on with self-employed people. It just depends on what their number one concerns are.
Okay. Second question, in regards to our students, what ages are they eligible to start investing and into which options, such as IRAs, 401ks?
So you need earned income to contribute to retire in an IRA or in a 401k plan is really given to you by an employer. So if you have earned income and you meet the eligibility requirements of the plan, typically they're age 21. So, the people at Austin and the students at Austin Prep probably wouldn't fall into that category. Usually, I believe, Zan, you might know this, but I think you have to be 18 years old to open up a brokerage account at Commonwealth.
Yeah, in the state of Massachusetts. Otherwise, it needs to be a UTMA.
Otherwise, it needs to be a UTMA. So, like, if
you could open up a joint account with your mom or dad. I mean, it's never too early. I mean, me and my brother started really young, obviously, with my dad being in the business and my mom too, and being involved. And we started really young, right when we started working. We started working probably in, I don't know, I like to say 6th or 7th grade landscaping and making pretty decent money for a young person. And then all the way through high school at Austin Prep. We were saving and investing young. So
one thing I will say is what my mom, I used to get very angry because I would always tell my mom that she was stealing my money from me. So anytime I got paid, my mom would take my money. And I used to think she was literally taking it from me. And I would say, "Are you taking my money from me? You're taking my money." And the next thing I know, when I graduated Merrimack College, so you remember all those times you told me I was stealing your money? And she was like, "Well, now you have this investment account that we've been putting money into for, the last 20 years. And it was I was like, wow, it's unbelievable. So I agree with what my brother said. Any parents out there, anyone, who is younger and wants to open a joint account with their parents because they're working or their parents want to kick money in and show them the importance of investing, I think it's awesome. I think you should do that.
Yeah, a UTMA is just an account with a custodian on it. It's just a child that's underage, and then the adult is the custodian, but the account is in the child's social security number. It's their money. It's their account. It's just that they have to have a custodian on it until they turn 18 or 21, depending upon the state.
Yeah.
But you should invest young and often.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a question of my own. So what kind of questions would you ask, or should someone ask before they prepare to hire an advisor or a planner? Like I know, Dan, you mentioned that folks can come in and talk to you and kind of hear the way that you and your brother and your dad operate the company.
Mhm.
What kind of questions do you think, because I think this is going to be a relationship you have for a long time with these folks, hopefully, right? So you want to make sure that it works. So do you have any recommendations on things that they should be checking in and asking before they agree to kind of go into this relationship?
Well, I mean, I could start off a little bit with this. I mean, I personally, I think that you want your financial advisor to be fee-based, which we are. Not commission-based, they're fee-based. So they're using low-cost mutual funds, no-load funds. Preferably, you'd like them to be independent. So fee-based independent advisors that may or may not hold themselves out to be a fiduciary. I mean, I think it's important if you're a fiduciary, that's just putting you in line with your client, putting your client's interest before yours. You're right in line with your client at all times. So that's really important. Someone without an axe to grind, that just goes back to the fee-based part of it and being independent. That's really important, I think.
Yeah, so I obviously, aside from the personal feelings that you have towards that person, I mean, you can walk
Trust
into
it,
the
yeah.
office and get a pretty good feel
Yeah.
for who they are, but from, the how they operate and what they do, I think the three main things my brother nailed is you want them to be independent for sure. I think that is, to me, is extremely important. If they're not independent, that means somebody at the end of the day is their employee, they work for somebody else. They're not necessarily working for you. So independence is really important. Number two is the fee-based thing. You don't want someone who's going to be selling you commission-based products, because no matter what anyone says, and they might be the greatest people on earth, and they probably are very, very, honest people, but being fee-based, there's no, why is he telling me to buy that? I wonder if it's because he's going to be getting a bigger commission. Not all that leaves. It does, like for Sherr Financial, we don't care what's used. We get paid the same on it, no matter what. It doesn't make a difference to us. We want to put our
Well,
clients.
I will intervene. We are commission-based when we provide annuities to our clients, and we provide insurance. We do three different types of insurance. We do long-term care insurance, disability insurance, and life insurance. Those are the three insurances really any financial planner would be providing to their clients during certain situations. And in those situations, we are paid a commission. That's just the way that it's set up. That's across the board.
Right. And then the last one is fiduciary. If someone's a fiduciary, then, that's, I think, an important thing. And we're all three of us are accredited. We hold our AIFs, accredited investment fiduciaries.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have another question out here. I own a small business, less than 10 employees. I've looked into 401k plans for employees, but I found the entry costs are astronomical and only makes sense when you have 20 plus employees. Can you comment?
It's a good question.
Yes,
it's a good question for Daniel.
So I live in this space literally all day. I mean, this is what I do all day. So whoever that is, reach out to me. I have a very good solution for you.
Yeah.
So due to recent legislation that they've created these programs called group of plans, or GOPs. And I have access to a very competitive GOP just through my relationships with a particular third-party administrator, that at the end, the way that they operate is they take you get bulk discount pricing, because the record keeper, and in this case, it's actually Transamerica, looks at everyone in that GOP as a single asset amount. So they'll price small groups out at much lesser rates because of the volume that's going into this group of plans. So the best part about the group of plans is 100% of all the administrative responsibilities are subbed out to the TPA. They sign on as a 316 fiduciary. So they'll take on 100% of all the administrative responsibility. They'll sign and file the 5,500. They'll handle all the notices for you, and they'll charge you one time to get the plan set up. I think it's like I don't know. I think it might be like $1,000 or something, and then it's all baked into the assets. So, it's something whoever that is, reach out to me. I'd be thrilled to show you that. And if it makes sense to you, that's great. Also, it integrates with whatever payroll provider you have. It doesn't matter who your payroll is. It makes no difference. So you'll have 360-degree integration with payroll as well.
It's a good question.
Excellent. That was a good question.
And the GOP is a new thing. So
yeah,
pretty new.
Yeah, you're not going to find other GOPs out there like this. This one's really early on adopter of it, and they get a head start on everybody.
Excellent. So I think that wraps it up for our Q&A. So what I'd like to do is say thank you very much, you guys, for being here, and Doreen for helping to facilitate this for us. And I invite all of our guests who have tuned in to reach out to Sherr Financial, and like they said, they're willing and desire to talk to you. So I think that's great. And I also invite everyone to follow the Austin Prep Presents series. We're trying to host these programs monthly. The next one will be happening on November 30th. All of our program information from both future and previous programs is on the website under austinprep.org /alumni/Austin Prep Presents. And you can find the recordings there for the previous ones as well. So if anybody has a topic for future programs that they'd like to hear or see, please also reach out to us. We'd love to add some to our calendar. So thank you both, Alex and Dan, for presenting today, and Doreen for being with us. And hopefully we will have Sherr Financial representing at the Career Fair in January, on January 28th, when we bring our alumni back here physically to campus. So,
All right, awesome.
yeah, we'll look
Great to
forward to
see you
welcoming
guys.
you. Yeah, so thank you again, everybody, and I hope everyone has safe travels if you're leaving your offices or home from here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Appreciate
Jennifer.
it.
Doreen,
Have a nice
appreciate
night.
it.